How's it going, everyone? It's Naveed here with the Real Buttons Podcast, episode 10. I'm here with
Spencer.
Spencer again. Okay, you were ready that time.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, this is our 10th episode. I mean, this is our first milestone for the Real Buttons Podcast. I mean, you know, we've been posting it on my YouTube page for the past 10 episodes. We've gotten some
we
viewers.
used to have Podomatics, but the freaking bandwidth thing kept on expiring, so I said, fuck it.
Yeah, we really need to figure out some better way. We need to get the MP3 out there some way. But yeah, I mean, like, thanks for everyone who's listened for the past 10 episodes. We've obviously had really a lot of fun talking about new gaming news, talking about what we've been doing, you know, just debating sometimes. And
yeah,
I mean, like, even if, like, what our viewers are probably like, we've got like 3 regular viewers or something like that. But yeah, thanks to all of them, I guess. And I mean, hopefully
I think to be fair, I think when we started out, we only had 1 regular viewer, and I think it's expanded,
so yeah, hopefully by the next time we can get another 3 people in here that watch regularly.
6 people.
Yeah,
that's the next objective.
Yeah, and then maybe from there I can get a little bit bigger. But yeah, like, hopefully we'll get another 10 episodes in.
We probably will, but it's gonna be a toughie with this next school year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I guess that's it. We have something sort of special planned for this, just for the.
Yeah, we have a couple things
episode.
in terms of discussions to happen at the end, but I guess we'll just launch right into rumors. You okay with that?
Yeah, we don't have much as far as what we purchased or played this week. Like, I've played basically. I mean, I've played a couple games just briefly, but nothing too much or too significant, and neither has Spencer. So we're just gonna go ahead and go right into the rumors section for this episode.
All right. Well, actually, I should mention that I got back into Chorin Shaw 68K, just a little, like, because it's just a Japanese indie game that most people don't know about. I introduced Naveed to it too, but I don't know how much he played of it. But
I played as much as I could. I still couldn't get past the 3rd stage. I played it twice. You know,
it's a freaking fun ass shmup, but yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Free. It's free too.
Yeah.
So basically, anyways, on to rumors. Electronic Arts supposedly has been attempting to buy Valve. I don't find this unlikely, and I don't find it surprising. Basically, according to no, it's not going to happen because Gabe Newell is pretty adamant that Valve remain independent and private. But this is pretty legitimate. It's coming out of the New York Times, which usually does not report on video game rumors. And they say that Electronic Arts has tried multiple times to get its hands on Valve and has been prepared to pay over $1 billion for them. Frankly, I don't think that's enough. I mean, that's how much freaking Facebook paid for Instagram and crap. So I don't think $1 billion would be enough to get Valve to sell.
Anybody EA picks up, like, it's like those developers have just gone down the drain with.
Well, they want Steam. That's what they want. You know, I mean, I don't think they care.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think they really care too much. Well, because, I mean, and the reason this makes sense is a number of reasons. First of all, there's Origin, which is the most telling. Basically, to me, that screams, hey, Electronic Arts, we tried to buy Valve, they wouldn't let us, so we're just trying to make our own copycat product that's not as good to try and get a slice of the pie. But basically, Gabe Newell isn't going to let this happen, especially at Electronic Arts, because, I mean, Gabe Newell has, you know, he's always, there's actually a quote here from him. He says, it's way more likely we would head. Okay, let's see. Rather than confirm or deny the report, Valve head Gabe Newell simply said it wouldn't happen, or at least that he'd rather Valve disintegrate and send its employees out into the world than sell up to another major publisher. That's so insulting. They would rather have the company die than sell to Electronic Arts or Activision. It's way more likely we would head in that direction than say, let's find some giant company that wants to cash us out and wait 2 or 3 years to have our employment agreements terminate.
I like Gabe Newell's really a down guy. I mean, he's he's not afraid to speak his mind. I mean, he's done that. Obviously, we've seen with like Windows 8 and everything like that.
No,
But
he's not. But I love Gabe Newell. I think he's the best CEO in the entire industry. But and I feel that way for a number of reasons. I feel that way because A, how happy most of his customers are. B, he's the only CEO in the entire industry, as far as I know, where he takes the quality of life of his workers very seriously. Valve, for example, doesn't have crunch times. That doesn't exist. And maybe that's a bad thing, but to some companies. But I mean, and I'm sure for a lot of companies it would be a bad thing. But it's just nice to know that somewhere in the industry, the people who work within the development studio are appreciated and not treated like shit. So the next rumor is one I'm actually kind of excited about because as a PC gamer, ever since I've transitioned to PC gaming, one of the things I've been pretty desperate for is a 3D fighter. And for a long time, I was hoping Sega would port Virtua Fighter 5. I've since given up those hopes, but I'm getting what's the distant second place, Dead or Alive 5 PC. Looks like it's rumored for PC. Amazon listed it. The reason I don't think this is a mistake, is because the last time Amazon mistakenly listed something for a console that it wasn't coming out on was Binary Domain, which ended up coming out on PC. And the other reason is the box art was very odd. And the reason I say that is because the box art was not typical PC box art. PC mock-up box art it traditionally uses a black label that just says PC DVD-ROM or PC CD-ROM. Mainly nowadays PC DVD-ROM. This box art had the Games for Windows Live box art, which is not just put on a box. You don't have an employee Photoshop that onto a box art for a mock-up PC game box art for no reason. Because like 4 or 5 games come out a year that use Games for Windows Live. So I think it's legitimate. And I'm kind of excited about it. And also, it does have 3 Virtua Fighter characters, so that's cool. And it's also kind of going back to like the Dead or Alive 2, Dead or Alive Dimensions type gameplay, which is a little bit better. It's not Virtua Fighter 5, but you know what? I'll take it.
Yep.
On to news.
All right. Let's the news section with this Obsidian Kickstarter that they had a little countdown. They had a countdown for a game, and it turned out to be a Kickstarter project. I am really, I don't really have any excitement over it because it's like an old school style RPG, right? Like a Fallout 1 or 2 style
I think
RPG,
so.
An isometric RPG, like those games, and it's already been funded like $740K, which shows how much people do like those types of games, though, and want.
Well, I mean, that's the first
new game from Obsidian.
That's what's crazy about this.
First 12 hours.
It's made. They were asking 1.1 million, and like Naveed said, it's made 740K in the first day, less than 24 hours. It's made that. It's just crazy. Flew off like a rocket.
Yeah. And it's if you want to go like pledge some money, it's only $20 to get the full game once it will come out. I don't know if this is going to be a full on like huge project. Like
from my understanding,
the budget.
I mean,
they're asking for like only $1 million. So I mean, it's definitely not huge. So it's probably like. It's bigger than a lot of downloadable content you see in the budget, but it's like not huge either. So
yeah, it's tough to say. But I mean, the one thing I'll say about it is it appears I don't know if they've confirmed the team, but it implies in the Kickstarter that Chris Avalon might be working on it. And he's the lead designer of Alpha Protocol. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm interested. But
I mean, I haven't really played many classic RPGs, so
the one to check out is Baldur's Gate. That's I haven't played any of them except for Baldur's Gate, but if all of them are like Baldur's Gate, then they're good games. Like Baldur's Gate, I think you would like Baldur's Gate. It's pretty good. I mean, it's just like a top-down action RPG.
Yeah,
basically.
I know.
That's how. So I mean, it's
I know that.
but I'm interested in it. So far, I think it's PC only. I'm sure it'll come to other systems eventually, but so far they've only confirmed it for PC. So epic sauce there.
Mhm.
Next piece of news is Trials Evolution Gold Edition has been announced for PC. So Trials, what was the version of Trials that came out on Xbox Live just recently? Was that Trials
It
Evolution?
was, it
Yeah,
was
Trials
just yeah,
Evolution.
it was regular Trials Evolution.
So Trials Evolution Gold Edition will also include the original Trials HD as well. So the game's getting ported to PC by Ubisoft. It will not include the brand new Origin of Pain downloadable content, which will probably come later. Um, I imagine that it has like some timed exclusivity with Microsoft or something. But nice to see the Trials series return to PC because that's where I'm pretty sure that's where the series started out. Because Trials, at least I know Trials 2 was on PC. I don't know about before that, but
Hmm.
interesting there.
And I have Trials Evolution on XBLA. It's a really great game, really freaking addicting. I mean, it's challenging, it's fun. I mean, the game is it's a really great downloadable title. Like that is
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in it.
yeah, it's the type of game you'd see like that you would think of when you think of a downloadable game. It's easy to pick up, it's easy to get into, but like it's really addicting. So you could play for a couple hours straight and just keep trying to uh,
That
beat your
sounds kind of like
times or
that sounds like kind of like the Crazy Taxi type thing.
yeah, it's definitely a great game and it's good to see PC gamers getting to play that now. But yeah, so next up, Keiji Inafune announced a new game that he is working on, and it's called Yaiba. Is that how you would pronounce it?
Yeah,
Yaiba.
Yaiba.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what Yaiba. But yeah, like this Inafune, obviously he made his own little development studio, and he already announced a couple games. I believe there's one he announced for 3DS that I forgot what it was called, but it like had something to do with pirates and animals or something like that. I forgot what it was called, but it was. He already has a game coming out for 3DS, and I'm pretty sure he has an iOS game coming out as well. Don't quote on that one, but they released a trailer for this game, Yaiba, and it looks like it's like a cell shaded, looks like hack and slash game or action title, maybe similar to Ninja
Yeah, but they
Gaiden
don't
or
really
something.
show that much gameplay, so it's kind of hard to tell.
No, yeah, but there is a little bit. I am personally speculating that it might be coming to downloadable platforms like XBLA, PSN, and Steam. It could also be a mobile game, or
Do
maybe
you think he would?
even.
Do you think he would go Steam on that? I don't know if KG is. I don't know if he's big. I don't know if he's onto the PC thing yet.
I don't know what he's doing now. I mean, we haven't really seen anything of his announced games from his new development studio. Anyway, like we
It's
only
so
had.
hard. It's so hard for me to watch like people like these guys who break off from companies and then form their own small studios and then the chief one that comes to mind is like Yuji Naka because he finished Skynight Rodea. It still hasn't been published and he finished it like half a year ago and it's just like I look at that and I'm like oh my god like dude just release your crap on like PC so that you can self-publish to Steam. Just like that, like you would actually make some money off of that game. Because now it's just
They
sitting there
might.
and it's probably never going to come out. I don't think it's ever going to come out.
Well, doesn't like Renegade Kid self-publish their stuff on
PC, yeah, they self-publish.
on
Everybody self-publishes
they
on
said
PC
they
pretty much.
pretty sure they said they self-published Mutant Mudds on eShop.
Yeah, well, you can do it on consoles too, but they charge. It's quite expensive.
Okay.
Developer's license and everything. Like I think to publish a game on Xbox Live is like within the five figures range.
Damn. Well, anyway, I have a feeling that he might ship more of this game at TGS, which is coming up next week.
Yes.
And maybe he'll show off more of the other 3DS game he has.
Speaking of TGS,
Uh,
it's not in our news. We didn't bother adding it because I think it's going to be for iOS. But Sega has, in fact, I'm almost 100% sure it's going to be for iOS. But kind of related to this because Sega at TGS is going to have a game called Devil Drive. Well, Project Omega right now, but basically it's got a lot of people from like we know that Ryuta Ueda is working on it and he worked on the Jet Grinder games, and he worked on Yakuza, the Yakuza franchise. But I'm pretty certain it's going to be iOS. So don't really. I mean, I'll be pleasantly surprised if it isn't. But I was looking at like the iOS listing for like Konami and Sega, and because they're huge on iOS games, and I think Konami has at this TGS they have literally I think 16 iOS games, 2 console games, and 1 handheld game.
One of those console games is Metal Gear Rising.
Yes, which is outsourced, and the other one is Ground Zeroes, I think.
Wow. The teasers for that game.
What? Which one?
For Project Omega were
they were so terrible.
They're like racy pictures of.
Yeah, they were like nude women, but like originally I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Bayonetta 2 when they first started showing it, because it was this woman with like these sort of demonic tattoos on her, and then it was like when they updated the website with the next teaser, it was like a map, which they used a lot of maps in Bayonetta, and so I thought it was going to be like Bayonetta 2, but then obviously that whole shebang happened that we'll get to later in the podcast. Anyways, Next piece of news is kind of shitty, and Capcom can't stoop any lower in my book, so I don't really give a damn. But basically, I was kind of a fan of the original Lost Planet, and I didn't care about Lost Planet 2 or 3.
Lost Planet 2 was awful.
And Lost Planet 3 is, I think, developed by Spark, so who gives a shit. But basically, they've confirmed they're not bringing the Lost Planet anime-themed spin-off for 3DS called EX Troopers. They're not bringing that west for 3DS.
It's also on PS3.
It's also... Oh, okay. Well, anyways, that's kind of a weird
3DS and PS3. Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. But neither of those are going to be planned to be coming to the to the West.
Is it a PSN title, or was it actually retail?
I'm pretty sure it's retail.
That's nuts.
It's a very, very weird combination, like you said. Like PS3
I guess that
3DS.
it's just because it's cell shaded, so they can get away with it and then run it in like 1080p and 60 FPS or something on PS3.
Yeah,
weird.
Yeah, but
weird. So then the next piece of news.
So that's it for that.
Yeah, that's that for the EX Troopers thing. I don't know about you, but I was pretty disappointed. Well, I wasn't disappointed because I didn't have high expectations for it, but I kind of didn't think it was going to get brought over here. But
yeah, me neither. But like, I thought I've seen videos of the game.
I mean, it looked cool, so I was.
It's been on like various websites I've seen. I mean, yeah, like the art style is really great. I thought the look of the game, I mean, it looks really nice, and I haven't seen like a whole lot as far as gameplay goes, but I mean, it could have been something cool. So
yeah. So anyways, Naveed, got a question for you.
Yes. Oh, really?
Yeah, I do. Did you know PC gaming is dead?
That is a good question. You know what? I did know that. That is a fact.
I'm so tired of these. I'm so tired of these PC gaming companies fabricating these sales figures. So basically, Guild Wars 2 came out, the free-to-play MMO, but you pay for the base game. And
yes. I like that model.
Yeah, I do too. That's the model I like. I'm a big fan of that model. But basically, NCSoft confirmed within the first 2 weeks that the game had sold 2 million units. And this is a $60 game.
Yes, only retail.
Well, only retail and their website.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, not Steam, but
There's no Steam. There's no Steam. There was no Steam for this game. So people always say that, Steam kind of dominates the market. Well, I kind of used to agree. I used to think only Blizzard could get away, and like Notch and Anomalies could get away with selling their games outside of Steam's storefront, but I'm kind of disagreeing with that. I mean, you got Guild Wars isn't a big franchise. I mean, I don't know how much.
I mean, to be fair, it's a fairly well-known franchise. I mean, I know the first Guild Wars was pretty popular, so. But it's not like a giant, huge franchise like something like
I wasn't
Diablo.
I was not expecting 2 million in 2 weeks. I don't know about you.
No.
I was surprised by that. So good for NCSoft. PC's dead.
Yeah, and it shows that it shows that an MMO can do well in the market still.
As long as it's, I think here's what I think. I think subscription-based MMOs are dead. I don't think MMOs are dead. I think subscriptions are dead.
I think that, yeah, I'd say that's the truth. I mean, you saw what happened with the Old Republic. Once that goes free to play, you'll see, like, I guarantee you'll see huge numbers of people going to that game.
I mean, because Guild Wars 2 looks good to me, but I mean, like, and then
yeah, it's been getting very positive press and
it's like I think the second best ranked game this year by critics. So, I mean, that across all platforms if you go on game rankings. So, it's averaging like a 92 or a 93%. So, It's doing really well. But and I'm excited for PSO2, which is another MMO. But these aren't, your traditional MMOs. They're kind of a little bit different. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there's also that one from Nexon that's coming over. I forget the name of it, but it has that Korean artist that everybody likes. Anyways, on another piece of news.
Another piece of sales news for this one. I really think it's really good news, and
it's great news.
It's a game that deserves it. Amnesia has sold 1.4 million units since it came out, and I mean, granted, 600,000 of those were from the indie Humble Bundle. Was it 4 or 5? I think it was 5. 5, yeah, but still that's less than half of the total sales. And it's a small indie title. It's a genre that is not very huge at the moment. It's a horror title, and like really horror title. It is the most horror-y title you can find right now.
It's scary.
Pretty much.
I haven't played it. I don't like horror titles, but
I'm not even scared of games that easily. And I played 20 minutes of this. I had to shut it off. I own it. I really want to try to get back into it. Maybe like when I play with my friends, the tension is it's brought down a little bit. So maybe hopefully I can play with my friends sometime and get through it.
That's so funny. I'm not kidding here. You remember Soul Reaver?
Yeah.
That's a game that I could only play it during broad daylight and with my brother in the room. That's how scared on Dreamcast. That's because that game was too scary for me by myself.
I remember playing a demo of that. I think it was for PlayStation at the time, but I always thought the character always freaked me out.
It's a creepy game, I think.
I haven't really played it at all. I really wanted to purchase it back when I first got my Dreamcast, but I never got around to it. But I thought the environment. What I remember is the environments were good for some.
Oh, that MMO. It's called Blade and Soul.
Blade and Soul.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and another thing about Amnesia. It's selling 10,000 units per month, full price.
Yeah. So everybody who says that those sales and stuff devalue content. I mean, that game's like almost 2 years old, isn't it?
I don't know. Not sure when it came out.
It's pretty old, and it's selling 10,000 a month.
I'd say 2 years is probably a good guess. Might even be 2009, but I doubt it.
I think it was 2010. I think it was late 2010, and
and they're coming out with another Amnesia game.
Yeah, Machine for Pigs.
Yeah.
Yep. Original release was 2010, September 2010, and it is still selling 10,000 units a month at full price.
Mm-hmm.
How many other games can say that? That's nuts.
Yep.
Oh, and that Korean artist that everybody likes is Hung Tae Kim. But anyway, sorry. What were you gonna say?
It is an indie game, but it was also released on. It was actually a retail title as well. I think THQ published it.
I don't know, but I know that it launched on Steam in September. That's what I just checked on Wiki. It launched on Steam in September 2010.
Published it at. Yeah, I think THQ published it at retail. Yep, that's what Wikipedia says.
THQ often publishes stuff like that, but yeah, it's just like, I mean, that's pretty impressive. That's some long tail sales right there.
I will tell you right now, the sales, they did not. I guarantee you, it did not sell well at retail because the cover for the game was really awful. But yeah. So next, we're getting to the next piece of news. Kickstarter, in the past 6 months, months has raised over $50 million for games. And Kickstarter has been around for a few years now. And, ever since Double Fine and them, they wanted to make their adventure game. That's really when it started to kick off, like the huge Kickstarter trend started to kick off. But in 2011, video, like the total, it's basically like it was like $4 million worth of money funded towards Kickstarter games, and this in the past 6 months alone, it's been over 50 million. So Kickstarter, I think, is here to stay for a while.
Well, I think it's only going to get. I think once the first wave of titles comes out from these developers, I think it'll get more popular, frankly. But yeah.
Yeah, because we've seen FTL, which just came out actually today. That, as Spencer was saying to me earlier, it's already like one of the top-selling games on Steam, and that is one of the first.
I think it's the first really like Kickstarter-funded game where it was the sole purpose. Because 30 Flights of Loving, which was another indie game, was finished before it and funded via Kickstarter, but it was part of another Kickstarter. I think it was a part of a Kickstarter for a podcast, and that it was like a bonus for people on the higher end. But yeah, so it's not the first game to be finished via Kickstarter, but I think it's the first one where it was the sole purpose of the Kickstarter, because 30 Flights of Loving was just a bonus on the other Kickstarter.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically it for that. Man, this podcast is filled with PC news. This is like an only PC and Nintendo podcast.
Dude, it's not that I look for whatever's posted on Gaff.
There's been nothing.
Trust me, we will get to that in a second at the end of this podcast. That's part of the discussion at the end.
Yes.
Basically, this is great news for PC gamers like myself, who are pretty much exclusively PC at this point. Valve is supposed to be contacting Japanese developers to basically getting Japanese titles on PC. So basically, Silicon Era talked to Marvelous, and they're talking about how essentially Valve has really made it easy for them. They said producer Esteban Jose Salazar said to Silicon Era, "I was actually hired on MAQL. I decided which game to publish. My first day, they told me we would be doing Half Minute Hero on Steam, and my grin was about a foot wide. I'm a huge fan of both. Valve has made it so easy for us to bring the game to Steam with their constant support and amazing publishing tools. Running development of a game in 2 languages, English and Japanese, can cause major headaches, but Valve was always prompt and professional in helping us out." So basically what he was saying is before he even got there, Valve actually had been in touch with Marvelous to convince them to port their games. So what he was saying is that furthermore, Half Minute Hero has been one of their lowest selling titles on PC, so they're really hoping it does well on PC. And then
PSP.
Excuse me, yes, it was one of their lowest selling titles on PSP, and they're really hoping it does kind of pick up on PC. But basically, what Salazar,
it was an awesome game, by the way.
Yeah, I'm buying it. But Salazar basically said, that Marvelous has a long list of titles that they could bring to Steam. Luminous Arc 3, No More Heroes, Grand Knight's History. But when asked by Silicon Arrow what he would like to bring if it goes well, is he says if Half Minute Hero does well, he can bring it back to his bosses, show them that PC is a lucrative platform, and that he basically hints that the next game he would try to convince them to bring would be Grand Knight's History, which I would be pumped as shit about, because that's
I would as well,
because that's a PSP game that they canceled over here.
Yeah,
and it's made by Vanillaware. Only released in Japan. They canceled the U.S. and European releases, and it's made by Vanillaware. So I'd be.
And they make like some of the most gorgeous games.
Oh yeah.
And on PC, 1080p. It'd be
it'd be stunning. Amazing. And it also has like a large online component. So I'm just like, give it to me now. Shoot it into the veins. Shoot it into the veins.
I would love that. But yeah, also, along with that,
Yeah, do you want to talk about this one, or you can
Go
have
ahead.
it? Okay.
Go ahead.
So basically, the other thing that happened was um, Atsushi Inaba, for some reason, on his Twitter, actually, he was going to Valve to check out Dota 2, which I'm like, Atsushi Inaba's a Dota 2 fan, but anyways, because Valve's been having this competition called the International for Dota 2 before it launches to promote it, and basically Atsushi Inaba took some photos. He's standing with Gabe Newell inside of Valve headquarters. He's messing around with the giant Valve in their lobby.
Yeah.
But basically, this kind of coincides. This was posted pretty much immediately after this news that Valve's been contacting Japanese developers, and Gabe Newell and Atsushi Inaba have this meeting. And I mean, I know that apparently Atsushi Inaba likes Dota, which I found surprising, but you don't really fly into Seattle, Washington to just hang out at Valve headquarters for no reason. So, I mean, it's just like, to me, along with this earlier rumor that we had about Metal Gear Rising coming to PC, if it did well on consoles, I think that basically it's true. I think Gabe Newell, I think Valve has been meeting with Japanese developers. This is basically confirmation. They're trying to get more Japanese games on PC, and all I can say is thank you, based Gaben. But anyways, it's the last thing PC's missing, man. If the Japanese games start coming, I've got no reason for anything else. But let's see. So then not finally, but we have another piece of Steam news after this. Steam Big Picture Mode enters beta. I've been screwing around with this. I do not know if Naveed has.
I tried it. Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
The UI is really nice.
It's really nice.
It's a really beautiful. I love the startup.
Oh god! So have you seen the screensaver?
No. Is there a what kind of screensaver? Like just
leave it idle.
Oh, is it just that same thing? Just
I don't know. It's different, but yeah, it's really nice. The whole thing's gorgeous.
Well, anyway, it's really nice. You can basically do anything you can on the regular Steam client on it. Like I personally, like, if I don't really use my computer on my TV, so it's not like a huge thing for me. But for people who do that, it seems really great. And like, if I was like one of those people who did have my PC connected to my TV, I honestly would have been content if all Steam Big Picture Mode was just like your library of games, and you could pick between your library of games with like a controller and stuff like that. But no, you can basically purchase games. You can do stuff in the community. You can also check out your library and stuff like that, all through this Big Picture Mode with the controller. Mm-hmm. And the interface is also really nice. It works well with the controller.
Yeah,
I actually didn't. The one thing I didn't try was actually the browser that you were talking about.
The browser is nice. The browser, they call it a first-person browser. It works pretty well with the controller. The other thing that I really like is the on-screen keyboard, which Valve is calling the Daisy Wheel. I really think it's pretty much the best solution I've seen for a controller-based keyboard yet. And the other thing was that. Well, actually, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that once we get to the other thing. But there was also a hint of a Steambox console. Basically, they were somebody from Steam. I'm not entirely certain who was asked if this Big Picture Mode was the first step toward Valve making their own console. It was Coomer. Excuse me. What we really want is to ship Big Picture Mode and then learn, Coomer said. So we want to find out what people value about that, how they make use of it, when they make use of it, whether it's even a good idea for the broadest set of consumers or not, and then decide what to do next. So it could be that the thing that really makes sense is to build the box that you're describing, but we really don't have a roadmap, and we think we're going to learn a tremendous amount through this first release. Mm-hmm. So basically, they're kind of leaving the door open there.
I mean,
what do you think?
This is just. It seems like it could be like the first step to that, like kind of like what they're talking about, like it's a starting point. I mean, they got everything they need really for a home console OS just built into that.
See, and I was kind of talking about this, and Richard thinks that there's going to be a big old Steam box console. I'm not so certain. I mean, why would Valve do it? They have no reason. There's so much more money in selling software than there is in selling hardware. Why would they do
And
it?
yeah, and it's true. And they've already got like the PC. They've got that area covered. I mean,
Mhm.
they
Yeah,
really
and we'll
don't
talk
need
about that in
to.
the next story. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really need to. It would be a risk if they went
Mm-hmm.
with the
Yeah,
hardware
that's what I'm
side.
saying.
So
Well,
they
and
don't really need to take that
what
risk.
some people are saying is that maybe they'll partner with somebody like Acer or Asus to make it, and I could maybe see that, but I just don't see the point. I mean, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. Valve's strength is on PC, and I don't see how they're gonna, like if they, what do they would have to license Windows for every single unit they sold. I mean, what, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see it
Hmm.
happening. Um, but the other thing I just want to, I read a joke. It was a pretty common joke, so I'm not going to attribute it to anybody because I just saw it all over the place. Was when this big picture mode comes out, the joke was that at Microsoft headquarters they were all laughing at Valve for all the empty space on the UI, not using it for advertisements. Um, but yeah, yet again, Valve doing something better than everybody else and at no charge. Surprise. And it's in beta too. It's not even finished. Uh,
Yeah.
so then the next piece of news is this is a big one. Steam.
Oh, well, one thing. I kind of wish you could run it windowed. Can you do that? I never tried. I never saw anything.
Um, I think there's like a little. Yeah, I think that there's like a little thing you can do with it, and I
Well,
don't think it's
actually,
in the settings
that
though.
wouldn't be feasible with a controller though.
Yeah, you could. Why?
Unless you'd have to have the actual mouse on the actual OS. Um,
No, you would just have to
the
click. You would just have to click the window it was in.
I mean, like, yeah, but if you're just using a controller though, I'm saying you're gonna have to start up Steam Big
Mm,
Picture mode,
I
and
see what you're
then
saying.
yeah, you can't use the actual Windows OS with a controller. So
Right.
I mean, it'd be
I mean,
cool
that's
if
the
you
way
could
it
like
is.
run
That's the
it.
way it is. Otherwise, though, I mean, you've got because I mean, you have to start it with a mouse, anyways. You can force it to boot on. You can force the big picture mode to boot as soon as Windows boots up, though.
Yeah, it would be nice though if like I mean maybe you're like I don't know why you'd be doing this, but if you're watching a video or something while browsing the community or something on Steam Big Picture mode with a controller, I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
see
don't
what
know
you're
why you
saying.
do that, but that's just something.
Um, so the next piece of news is also Steam related. This is big. Basically, this means Steam is the largest online gaming network in the world. They have 54 million active users, and Valve's definition of active is a lot more transparent than the other companies. Uh, for example, Microsoft says I think that they have like a 30 some odd million active users, but they don't specify what those users are doing. They say when those users are, they count things like when those users are watching things on Netflix.
Well,
And
we don't necessarily know what people who use Steam are doing. They could just be browsing.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure that Xbox Live also counts silver users who can't even access those features. So basically, as long as they're online, and Valve, I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah.
silver users are online. It's just they're not. They can't play online games.
So what's the point?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, they can access the Xbox Live Marketplace and stuff like that. They can buy that
Um,
stuff. But
so basically, Valve's definition of an active account is one game owned and online in the past 30 days. Um, they've surpassed 54 million. They're regularly now having 5 million over 5 million concurrent users at peak hours. So pretty amazing milestone.
yeah, it's definitely a big number. I mean, obviously some of those are just people logging in, but the fact it's not a large portion of that, I don't think. So that's a huge number, definitely for sure, and it just shows that the PC market is growing right now.
Well, the thing I wanted to mention about
Uh,
that is actually really quickly is last year at the same time it was it was 35 million. So
Hmm.
it's grown 19 million in a year.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah,
Huge. This is kind of bad news.
very bad news.
One of the best Japanese, it was a English website, but it reported on Japanese news mostly. Andrea Song closed down. It was run by Anoop. What's his last name?
Gontiot, Anoop Gontiot.
Gantiat. Yeah.
I think he's Indian.
Yeah, yeah. Anoop is an Indian name, but yeah, he. I mean, it's good for him because um, it looks like he found a better career or a better job from this. But that was one of the best sources for up to the minute like Japanese news coming in from like he brought in like up like Famitsu stuff from Famitsu
Mhm.
constantly, and just a
Well,
bunch of
I think what's saddening for me is Noop, and Gontiot, and James Milkey um, were my favorite gaming journalists, and now neither of them write. And I mean, I never went to Andrea Singh anyways because I
well, most of the
don't. I
stuff
mean,
would be
most.
posted on other sites, but
Yeah, I mean, it was like I never went there, but I took comfort knowing in the fact that Anoop Gontiot was still writing, and now
mhm.
he's gone, and now James Milky's gone, and I'm just like, oh my god, there's like nobody good left at all. It's nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's sad news, but good luck to Anoop. He has probably found something better for him. So yeah. Next piece of news is Blizzard has been watermarking gamers' pictures in World of Warcraft with their personal account info. Um, do you want to talk about this? You probably you know more about it than I do.
I don't know too much, but basically, here's what, from what I understand, is that basically they were watermarking people's photos with a sort of an overlay with a certain I don't know what they were freaking using, but they had a repeating pattern secretly embedded inside of the photos. Um, a guy found by sharpening the images. Um, the watermark apparently includes user IDs, the time the screenshot was captured, and the IP address of the server you were on at the time. This is used by Blizzard to track down violations of the terms of service of World of Warcraft, but apparently it can also be used to compromise accounts. So brilliant. Another brilliant play by Activision Blizzard. They've been doing it for, I think, since 2008 or 2009.
Yeah.
And great news out of Activision Blizzard. Naveed, do you remember the last time there was a good piece of news out of Activision Blizzard? Because I don't.
You know what? No. We have only been reporting bad news from them.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
But
that.
that's that. Next piece of news is pretty. This is our last piece of news for this week, and it's pretty big stuff. I mean,
But stay tuned because
uh,
we have discussion time afterwards.
yes, and that'll be pretty fun. But Nintendo held their little Wii U press conference this past just a couple days ago, yesterday actually, and they announced pretty much all the details for the launch of the system. They first had one Nintendo Direct in Japan, which was like a 20-minute event detailing prices and dates in Japan. So the Wii U in Japan is going to be coming out on December 8th, and in both the U.S. and Japan, as well as Europe, there are going to be two SKUs. So in Japan, the basic SKU is going to be a white Wii U console. It comes with a Wii U gamepad and basically just basic accessories needed for like chargers and AC adapters for the Wii U controller and stuff like that. HDMI cable. That will be retailing for 25,000 yen over there before taxes. And the second, the premium bundle over in in Japan, which is the second SKU, will be a black Wii U console. And the first SKU has an 8 gigabytes of storage. The second SKU has 32 gigabytes of storage. So that one comes with a Wii U gamepad as well. It comes with a charging cradle for the Wii U gamepad, which is nice. I like that for the 3DS. It'll be nice to have for the Wii U controller. And then it also comes with it comes with what Nintendo's calling Nintendo Network Premium. So this is the same thing for both Japan and Europe and America, for all those regions. It's basically only available on the premium bundle in all regions. And what it is if you buy eShop games, or if you buy like full priced games off of the eShop, which you'll be able to do, basically what will happen is you will get a portion of what you spent back that you'll be able to spend on future purchases.
It's a rewards program.
Yeah. So this is free. It's not like you have to pay for it or anything. And apparently it's supposed to be running until December of 2014. So I think that's pretty cool. It's if you're a big digital downloader, that could be a very useful thing. You could probably get a few free games out of that. And they also announced a Monster Hunter bundle in Japan. So Capcom is releasing Monster Hunter Tri-G HD over there, and they're going to be bundling that with a Wii U console, which will sell like crazy because Japanese are crazy about Monster Hunter no matter what. And but yeah, that's basically what Japan had. They waited to talk about games until Nintendo of America was having their press conference later on that day, and they streamed another Nintendo Direct simultaneously with Nintendo America, as well as Europe also had the same thing. So in America, the Wii U is going to be released on November 18th, which is what I predicted. So I feel kind of good about that, although it was a fairly predictable launch date. But they basically announced the price for the Wii U right when they started the conference. The basic bundle, which has the same stuff as I mentioned as the Japanese one, will be released at $299.99 in the U.S. And the premium bundle, which has everything I mentioned in the Japanese premium bundle, but it also includes Nintendo Land as a pack-in, that is going to be $349.99, $350. I personally believe those prices are kind of high. I wish it was $250 and $300.
I think it's high.
I expected $300 value. Like ever since they showed off the Wii U, I was like that.
I think that it was realistically I expected 300, but I think 250 would be the sweet spot. I mean, I kind of don't think the market. I think this is going to be. I don't think it's going to be as bad as the 3DS, but I yet again think that the market's not going to be as receptive as Nintendo wants it to be with that price point.
I think they're going to try to do the same thing as they've done with they did with the Wii, just as the other piece of news that I was going to talk about indicates. But I'll basically talk about it now. So GameStop started taking pre-orders the day of that conference, which was just yesterday, and basically nationwide they've sold out of the deluxe bundles, as they're calling it here, and they're very short on the basic bundles as well. But I just think they're not allocating a lot of pre-orders, and they're probably not going to be releasing a lot of consoles.
So you think they're going to try to create an artificial demand?
Yeah, just like they did with Wii. I mean, there was a big demand for Wii, but they obviously did not release.
Well, no, they didn't even meet their production targets that they had set. Like, they missed it by a long shot when they launched Wii. Because, like, didn't they say they wanted like 800,000 units or something like that on launch in North America?
I don't remember, but it was obvious that they obviously were not shipping out a lot of units to retailers because the damn Wii was sold out for what, like 2 years almost, 1.5 years or something like that. So obviously, I mean, there was demand for it, but I think that's what Nintendo's going to try to do, and I expect the Wii U to be sold out for a few months in stores, but after that, I'm not sure how sales will do.
I think it'll be sold out solely due to artificial demand.
Yeah, yeah,
I
of
don't
course.
think
Yeah,
the
that's
Wii U,
what I'm saying.
the Wii U will not be a wildfire takeoff like the Wii was. It just won't. I don't think it's going to be.
It doesn't have that wow factor like the Wii had back when that was released.
And also, I mean, the whole tablet thing. I mean, the casual audience has already got iPads and.
Yeah, but then you look at like there could be families that don't have tablets, but they look at the Wii U and they're like, maybe this is something we can get for our kids as like a starter tablet or something like that, or something. I don't know.
I don't think anybody's looking at it that way.
I feel like I feel like the tablet is going to appeal to some people though. Like as far the Wii U is not going to bring in the casual audience. It's not going to happen this time.
I mean,
compared
to
the
Wii. iPad has sold 85 million. So
they said like there was at the recent Apple press conference, like there were 90 million total iOS devices out there. I think something around that, maybe like actually. I want to look that up, but
I'll look it up. You keep going.
Okay. But you know, I do think it's going to sell,
so,
and
it's sold 80. Last update we had was of March 2012, and the iPad had sold 84.1 million. So it's been it's been like 6 months.
Is that worldwide or just in America?
That's worldwide.
Okay. Well, anyway, I guess I'll talk more about just the other stuff they talked about at the press conference. So after they showed that stuff, basically they talked about the games that would be coming for it, and you know they showed off more stuff for Nintendo Land, which is going to be a freaking $60 retail game if you don't get it packed in. Absolutely crazy. I feel like they're not going to sell any of those. Well, they're going to sell a few, but it's all going to be from the bundles.
Dude, the Nintendo fan base will lapse anything up with that logo on it. They just.
They're crazy if they do. I mean, I'm probably going to end up getting it through the bundle, but...
Dude, Wii Music.
That game sold poorly, I thought. I mean, it
sold like
sold
2
over
million units.
It sold 2 million, but okay, that was Japanese. A lot of that was Japan, and that was okay. There was people there's freaking people that bought it that are like those were the casuals. I swear, it was not Nintendo fans who bought that game. I am telling you straight up, it was not Nintendo fans.
2.65 million units.
That was you know what? That was actually under like their expectations.
Of course it was.
Yeah, but that's fucking ridiculous.
But yeah, fans, man, that's they blind. They're sheep, man. No offense to you.
The Wii Music is a blip on the radar compared to what Nintendo Land is going to be. I think Nintendo fans are gonna. You're right. They're probably gonna eat that up. Like, I don't know. But anyway, they showed that. And what else did they show? Trying to think of the stuff they showed before I talk about the big stuff. Oh, okay. So they talked about this new thing they're trying to do, basically to compete with the video services for, they're trying to bring their own thing to the table. It's called Nintendo TV with 2 I's after the V. Which is pretty dumb, but it's actually kind of neat. It's not something that's a system seller, but it's pretty cool. So what it is it's an application that'll be available, I believe, on launch for the Wii U at no extra cost. And what it is like it's something you can use that combines all the video streaming services together as one, as well as cable TV. So what you can do is like you can search for like a show, like I don't know, let's say Breaking Bad, which is one of my favorite shows. You can search for that. It'll show up all the options you have available to watch that on. So it will bring up Netflix option, and straight from this this thing, you'll be able to go into Netflix and watch episodes. Or if it's live on TV, you can actually press this button, and it'll actually go straight onto your TV, and you'll be able to watch it live on TV. Same thing with like sports and stuff. You can do that. And the other cool thing is there's like integration with the gamepad while you're watching this stuff. So like with let's say a sports example here. So there's football on TV or something. You search up the football game. All the scores are on the gamepad. You're watching on the TV. You'll see stats and everything like that. I think it's a pretty cool integration. And there's also other things like social stuff, like you can tweet stuff as you're watching. It actually looks like a neat feature that they're doing, and you can also integrate everything through like your DVR, so you can record stuff with
Isn't
your
this kind of like?
DVR.
Isn't it? I didn't really watch too much about Smart Glass, but it kind of sounded like Smart Glass to me.
It is, but I mean, Smart Glass, it was basically an addition to your TV experience. Like this which is what this is in a sense, but like this also adds all this options as far as like you can search for something, and you'll see everywhere that it's available on. So if there's something's not available on Netflix, it might be on Amazon Prime streaming or Hulu Plus or something like that, and you'll be able to actually select which one of those you want to use. So it's neat, but they're trying to obviously compete with other services. Like, I mean, Microsoft's obviously going to have a huge thing as far as their TV push, I think. So, and I mean, this is basically going to be used as a universal remote. You can use it as a universal remote, so it's pretty neat. Other than that, Nintendo showed off that Activision will be supporting the system with Black Ops 2. That's obviously something big to have, but I don't give a shit at all. And they also did announce the Monster Hunter game, which is going to be called Monster Hunter Ultimate Collection for the Wii U and 3DS in North America. So and it'll be fully online on the Wii U, just like Monster Hunter Tri was, which is neat for any Monster Hunter fan. I'm not a huge fan of the series, so that's that. And finally, get to the biggest announcement and something that was completely unexpected from almost everybody. Nintendo announced Bayonetta 2. They will be funding and publishing the title exclusively for the Wii U, and this caused a freaking outcry from fans, and it's really something I've never even seen before, like how bad this outcry was.
It wasn't as bad as the FF13 multi-platform announcement.
I was not around when that, like, I wasn't like reading up in forums when that stuff happened. I remember watching it was
I know
bad. I saw someone there's a ongoing like meme about how Japan is like their culture is based around trust and
yeah, I remember that post.
Yeah, it's like
legendary.
I'm going to kill myself. Yeah, it's freaking amazing. But there's some really crazy comments about Bayonetta 2, like some guy actually Hideki Kamiya got death threats from some people.
Yeah, but I mean, like even Jason Rubin got those when he said that Saints Row was immature.
Yeah, but I mean, this was on another level. It was like,
oh, I'm not saying that the freak out was the same. I'm just saying that death threats don't really mean anything anymore.
Yeah. Well, anyway, personally, I'm freaking pumped Bayonetta 2 is coming out at all. I mean, Bayonetta, the original one, is probably my favorite action title of all time. I
would agree in terms of 3D action titles, not 2D, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I personally, I prefer 2D action titles. I'm not sure about you, but
yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd say I probably do as well. But I mean, I haven't literally played a lot of 3D action games anyway. I played a couple Devil May Cry games, and
the best ones are
stuff like that.
Original Ninja Gaiden, Devil May Cry 1 and 3, and then Bayonetta. There you go.
Yeah.
If you played
I've
those,
never played.
If you've
Thankfully,
played
I've
those,
never played Devil May Cry
ones.
2. Yeah. But yeah, that was a huge announcement. Totally pumped for that. And it seems like Nintendo's trying to pick up Platinum Games from what they got another exclusive coming. It's not Project P100 anymore. It's actually called the Marvelous 101. That's the official name for the game now. And
well, I think what they're doing is I think they're gonna groom Platinum, and if Platinum's games are financially successful, I think they'll buy them.
yeah, it could also be something like with Bayonetta. It could be something like what happened with Nintendo and Fatal Frame. How they started publishing the Fatal Frame games, and over time they actually took ownership
I don't think
of that
Sega's
franchise.
gonna sell it though, because Sega. I don't think Sega's ever sold an IP ever. I mean, Tecmo is kind of. I mean, they kind of needed it. They needed that relationship with Nintendo, but Sega doesn't need the relationship with Nintendo as much. I mean, especially Mario and Sonic at the Olympics is a rapidly declining franchise. It still sells well, but and
I
also
mean, there's only been 2 games.
yeah, but the second one sold way less than the first, and also
It still sold like what 6 million or something.
I think it sold. Yeah, I think maybe it did sell around there, but also because Sega, I think, isn't gonna. The Olympic license is really expensive, so I don't know if they're gonna bother keeping the Olympic license next time it comes around to renew.
I bet they'll do it for Mario and Sonic. I bet they'll have another Mario and Sonic game. Those games sell.
Oh, they're gonna have another one, but I mean, I don't know. It's gonna. I mean, so basically what I'm saying is Tecmo Koei really needs.
There's actually been 3 Mario and Sonic games, haven't there?
No, there's only because there's only been the summer and winter.
They didn't do one for last summer. They did do one for Beijing.
They did one for Beijing. I don't know. And then I think they might be doing one for. I guess they might be doing one for London. Maybe they already did.
Oh man, that's. Did they not do Mario and Sonic for London? They did.
Oh,
they
yeah,
did.
they did.
That came out. So they had 3 Mario and Sonic games. Okay. Yeah, I can see them doing another one for next winter for sure. That's a big seller for them, even if the Olympic license is expensive.
Oh, dude, it's sold way less though. It's only sold 2.4 million copies compared to the 6 million of the second one.
Well,
that's really expensive for them because they've got the Olympic license. They've got
they
the
also
Mario
did
license.
release the actual. They also do actually release the actual Olympic game too, like the officially.
That one I don't think does very well. Otherwise, they'd be keeping Sega Australia open.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to shut down Sega Australia because Sega Australia is the one who makes the actual Olympic games.
Yeah. But yeah, that was definitely the biggest news to come out of the Wii U event, Bayonetta 2. The other thing we did hear from the Japanese Nintendo Direct is that the Xenoblade team is actually working on a brand new IP for the Wii U, which I am excited to see. Hopefully that'll be announced maybe next year sometime, probably. But personally, the event made me pretty excited for Wii U. I mean, I already was going to buy it because I'm a Nintendo fan, but I mean, seeing Bayonetta, seeing the other games, I got pretty excited, and depending on if I can even muster up the money, I'll get one at launch. So that's that, I guess. That is it for our news section, and we got a couple of discussion topics coming up. So, like we said earlier, this is our 10th episode. What we decided to do for the 10th episode is, because the Wii is basically dead, we have decided to make a top 10 list for the Wii. It's basically my top 10, but Spencer agrees with it somewhat. He had a few.
Actually, I do a little bit. Let's see here. I agree with. The only thing I super major disagree with is I haven't played Donkey Kong Country Returns, so I can't comment on that. I disagree with your placement. I wouldn't put Super Smash Bros. Brawl in the top 10, and I would your placement of Sin and Punishment I disagree with, and Super Mario Galaxy 2 should be number 1. That's what I disagree with. There you
go. Okay, so this is my top 10.
So I agree with 70% of it, or let's say 75% of it.
Yeah, I mean, you basically just you had two other games in your top 10 that I don't have, and like I don't know,
The main thing
placement.
I
That's
disagree
it.
with is, yeah, I mean, and Super Mario Galaxy 2 is really close to where I think it should be anyway, so, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is my list. Number 10 is Sin and Punishment. Basically, I mean, it's a fantastic game. It's a great.
Boo!
It's a really really fun game by Treasure. I mean, the first Sin and Punishment is on Virtual Console. That was a great game. The reason I have it so low is just it's just basically a fun factor for me. Like I had a lot of fun playing the game. It's over the top. It's crazy. I mean, I beat it twice, but I mean, it's just as far as like fun compared to these other games, not as much as the other ones. So, Sin and Punishment, awesome game. You can pick it up for like $5 some places. So you need to play that. Yeah, yourself.
Dude, it is one of the funnest games on Wii. This kid's nuts, everybody.
The ones above these are more fun.
No, they aren't. Definitely not Brawl.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Dude, you played Brawl for more than you would have played Sin and Punishment for.
That's true, but not because Sin and Punishment is less fun, because the replayability of a fighting game is naturally higher due to the competitive nature.
I have had more fun with the Smash Brothers games playing with friends than I have a lot of other games personally. But number 9,
I shouldn't say
which is
fighting game.
Brawl,
Fake fighting game. There you go. Anyway, sorry, go.
party fighting game
Party
is
fighter,
the
yeah.
term I would like to use for that. But Brawl, when it came out, it was huge. I remember this is going back to the 1-Up days.
Party fighter with a PH for the fighter. Anyway, sorry.
Going back to the days when Spencer and I we went to 1up.com and we had like there was clubs on 1up.com.
The days.
I had a Nintendo News Club on there that was pretty popular, and I would post every update for Smash Brothers Brawl, and it was really fun. It was a fun time leading up to that game, and I think Brawl is a fantastic game. There's so much content in the game. There's some mediocre stuff, like the Subspace Emissary wasn't amazing, but it was a cool extra single player mode.
That's what I spent most of my time in, actually, until I finished it. I spent I think 15 hours in that.
I beat it and I finished it, and then I played like another 150 hours probably of just
Total, I put
multiplayer.
in 30 hours into Smash Bros.
I've played it way more, just trying to unlock all the trophies, getting stickers and stuff.
I don't see. Here's what I don't get with you and the trophies and the stickers. You don't like achievements, so why do you care about those things?
They're actual things in the game that are actually, do you unlock things? It's not like I like unlockables, I like concept art in games. I think that's awesome. I like extra videos, stuff like that. But achievements, it's a freaking random point value that you have. It's not something that I don't get it. And I mean these trophies they have cool information that goes along with them too. And I mean the stickers weren't exactly they weren't just collecting thing. You could actually use the stickers
for something. I forget what.
I'm pretty sure you could actually. I don't even remember actually. Didn't you put them on the trophies?
It was something really stupid and lame that Sakurai probably thought was rad when he did it, but yeah.
It's a totally extra thing, but I mean, I love getting all that stuff, and I actually went back and played Melee. I actually think Melee is a better game as far as the gameplay, and it's faster, and there's no fucking tripping. What the fuck was up with that?
Tripping was a dumb mechanic, but I actually think that overall Brawl was the better game.
Overall, yeah, I think overall the Brawl was a better game, but as far as the main gameplay goes, I think Melee. I like
There's
Melee.
hardly a difference. I mean, it's slightly faster, but I mean, it doesn't really matter.
I went back to it. It felt fairly different compared to
I will say
Brawl.
this. I will say
And
this.
I was saying that no, I had I was basically saying it's the same thing. What's so different? But when I went back to it, I could definitely feel the differences.
No. What I'm saying is when I played Melee on GameCube, I thought it was complete and utter crap. Like when I had a GameCube, and then So I mean, I don't think if I went back to it, I would be all that kind to it because I would probably think it was even worse than I thought it was back then. Brawl was the first one where I thought that the game had some redeeming aspects. I still thought it was largely crap, but it had some it had enough redeeming aspects for me to spend 30 plus hours into it, which that's I put 30 plus hours into Duke Nukem Forever, so take that as you will.
I think the Smash Brothers games are some of the most fun you can have on home consoles. I mean, I don't care whatever you want to say about the freaking fighting mechanics. I don't care. It's not a true fighter in my opinion. It's not meant to be that. I mean, some people make it out to be that way, but they're stupid.
Capcom could redeem themselves to me with a multi-platform Power Stone, which is a franchise for those who never played it that is better than freaking Super Smash Brothers. But anyways, multi-platform with all
not the same thing. That is 3D. You can't really compare them in my opinion.
they're both party fighters.
Yeah. I mean,
it's hard for me to explain, but if you ever play Power Stone, they play astonishingly similar, but Power Stone's just so superior. It's not even funny, which isn't surprising because Capcom has a good fighting game heritage and Nintendo doesn't. So, anyways,
speaking of party fighters, they showed off during the Giant Bomb thing live show today. They showed off more PlayStation All Stars. Oh god, that game doesn't look very good. Anyway,
who's developing it? Who is developing it?
Sony Santa Monica, I think.
No, somebody's making the Vita version. It's being handled by an outsourced developer. Anyways, keep talking. Sorry.
I know Seth Killian is part of Sony Santa Monica now. He used to be on Capcom's fighting game
talking,
staff or whatever.
Just keep, I'll
okay,
figure it out.
You looking it up? Okay. So yeah.
Blue Point Games for the PS Vita version.
Okay. It's actually no. It's Superbot. Superbot Entertainment.
I just checked Wikipedia. They're the ones they say for. Oh, Superbot is handling the main development, but the PS Vita port is Blue Point.
Okay. Anyway, for my number 8 game on Wii is Skyward Sword. Now, people might be saying, "Whoa, that's so high on the list. Why is the Zelda game so high?" Fact is, Skyward Sword was kind of disappointing as far as the Zelda game goes. I mean, it was. I thought the motion controls were really great. The best use of motion controls I've had in any motion control game I've played. Anybody who says that the controls don't work well just was not in the right environment to play it, I think. But it was just the art style is really good. The gameplay is classic Zelda. I mean, the worlds are pretty cool. The thing about the game is just it was padded like nobody's business. Towards the end of the game, it's just there's just so much padding.
I heard about this. They hired people from Vigil to handle it, and then Vigil guys padded it. It's a joke about Darksiders.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's a lot of things they like improved about the Zelda formula in that game, like the save points in various areas. It's really disappointing how much padding they had in that game, but it's still a good Zelda game. That's why it's in my top 10. I should also mention that games like Xenoblade and stuff like that are not on this list because I haven't played them yet. My Wii crapped out, like I mentioned before, and haven't been able to play those games yet. And I have some honorable mentions if you want to go check those out. Those are on the Real Buttons website. So next is number 7, probably one of my favorite rhythm games of all time, Rhythm Heaven Fever. This recently just came out this year. It was recently available for $5 at Best Buy. So it obviously didn't sell that well, but Rhythm Heaven is so crazy, it's so quirky, the music is fantastic. It's such a simple game as well, simple rhythm game, but it's awesome. It's so much fun. Definitely check out Rhythm Heaven Fever if you like rhythm games. Number 6 on my list is Little King's Story, which is a lot like Pikmin, and I personally actually like it more than Pikmin. There's more mechanics to the game, I think. I mean, I really like the art style. I really like what the game does. The only really big fault I have with the game is that it didn't use the Wiimote pointer for flinging your guys onto enemies and stuff like you do in Pikmin. If you know, it's just analog stick controls. So
My problem with it is I didn't think it was that good. I thought the town management was weak, and it's also the game that pretty much killed Sing.
there's not that much. What do you mean town management? Like
There's
all
like,
you do is
yeah, it's
basically
like,
like
but I mean, it's like that's what I'm saying is it's like it's not. It feels like it's supposed to be there, but it isn't.
well, the town is basically your hub for making for getting more units, and I mean you can expand upon it by gaining money and stuff, and that'll like help you get warp pipes and stuff like that. But I really didn't have a problem with that at all. I thought it was fine. Um, that game is coming out on Vita, but I really don't like the way it looks compared to the art style of the Wii version. But it should probably still be a well-playing game at least if you have a Vita, which is probably nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 on my list is Twilight Princess. This was a launch title slash one of the last games for GameCube, but I'm counting on the Wii because that was basically the main platform for it. It is one of my favorite 3D Zelda games, probably my second favorite 3D Zelda game. And Skyward Sword is like my least favorite 3D Zelda game that I've played. So you know they're all pretty close as far as where they list. But Twilight Princess, I thought the game was really good. I liked the environment. The dungeons were really good in my opinion. I think the dungeons were some of the best in the Zelda series. And the problems I did have with the game though were when I went back to play it again, I didn't notice the first time I played, neither did Spencer.
I didn't.
But the tutorial is just a freaking chore. Like I said, I didn't notice it when I first played it, but when you go back to it, it's like 3 hours, like menial tasks. It's really, really a chore, and it's really long. And the other aspect of it now is that the controls, the waggle controls, just don't feel good. After going from Skyward Sword back to Twilight Princess, I just really wish that was a button press, and I'd probably rather play the GameCube version at this point. Even though like the aiming and stuff was nice with the Wii U pointer. But yeah, Twilight Princess, great game. Number 4 is one of my favorite 2D platformers of all time, actually. Donkey Kong Country Returns. This was developed by Retro. They brought out the level design is amazing, and they kept that feel of Donkey Kong Country. It had like minecart levels, it had other types of levels, and it was super challenging. I mean, it was just an incredible game. I really think anybody who's a fan of 2D platformers should play the game. Number 3 and number 2, I'll just combine these two, Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2. Two of the best 3D platformers ever made. It's just absolutely fantastic. And as far as like, I kind of cheated on my number 1 game, so like I'd probably say overall Super Mario Galaxy 2 is the best game on the Wii because I cheated on my first game, as you'll see, but Super Mario Galaxy 2, just so much variety in the level design and the different levels you go to.
It could do some bigger levels like Mario 64, which has been a big flaw with the Galaxy titles. But overall, I think Super Mario Galaxy 2 was kind of it really took Super Mario Galaxy 2, which I wasn't huge on Super Mario Galaxy. Like about 60 stars in, I started to feel like the game was really a chore.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't happen to me at all with Super Mario Galaxy 2. The entire way through, I felt really good about the game. I think it's probably, I would say it's the second best 3D platformer of all time for me, behind Sly Cooper 2.
I never felt that way toward Mario Galaxy. Like I never felt like it was a chore. I had fun throughout the game, but Super Mario Galaxy just stepped it up a little bit, and it added like an extra 120 stars at the end that weren't like new levels, but it was like there were like challenging stars that were optional that you didn't have to do.
I didn't screw around with any of that stuff. Like I just did like the basic game, but like it was like And with Super Mario Galaxy 1, I did the same thing because like once I got to the end of Super Mario Galaxy 1, like because I had to go back to it 2 years later to finish it because it was just like I had quit it for 2 years because I was just like burnt out on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the level variety in Super Mario Galaxy 2 was way better than the first one. The first one I thought became really a chore for me because you had to keep on going back. I don't know. It was just my favorite planets in the sequel were the water-based ones. They were all really pretty. But anyways,
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. It's a super great looking game for the Wii, and maybe even for like it's just artistically, I think it's a really great looking game. So finally, my number one game on Wii. Like I said, I cheated partly, but it is Metroid Prime Trilogy. So the reason this is number one is because Metroid Prime is my favorite game of all time, and it was made even better through this compilation of games, and it includes three of my favorite games of all time. I mean, Metroid Prime 2 wasn't amazing compared to the other ones, but Metroid Prime 1 and Metroid Prime 3, the actual Wii game, they were both really fantastic games in my opinion, and just the art in those games are just phenomenal. Skyworld in Metroid Prime 3 was beautiful. I mean, just I love everything about those games and the Metroid series in general. So that's what I have for my top 10. Obviously, there's some missing. There's obviously everyone's not going to agree with that, but that's just my personal top 10. So
all right. And like he said, anybody who wants to see honorable mentions, go ahead and head over to. He'll post a link to the WordPress in the video, and you can see his honorable mentions.
mhm.
So the last discussion we have for the night is Steam-based. So if you're a console gamer or handheld gamer, you may as well get the hell out of town. But
Or you can
yeah.
join the Steam Gamer Club
Yeah.
or
So
PC.
I just wanted to talk to you about all the stuff that's been going on with Steam because I've noticed we've been doing this for 10 episodes now, and I've noticed I compile news every single episode, and Avid compiles news, and I noticed every single podcast. I've noticed something, and I'm going to talk about it in a little bit. But we have some minor Steam news that we didn't cover in the podcast because it just wasn't big enough to make it through. But since we were going to have this discussion, I decided to roll it into this. First of all, Greenlight. I want to talk to you about Greenlight because there's been a lot of discussion about the pros and cons of Greenlight. The first 10 games have passed through Greenlight. Obviously, there's been some controversy about the $100 donation required for access to Greenlight.
Yeah.
The donation goes to Child's Play Charity, which is a charity that helps children in hospitals get access to video games.
Mhm.
First of all, I don't really mind the $100 thing. I've kind of come to the conclusion that Greenlight, before it happened, was getting filled with shovelware. It was getting filled with crap. It was getting filled with games that people didn't even own, stuff they just wanted to see on Steam.
Yeah.
I would prefer that it was a deposit, maybe. What I would prefer is that Valve say they charged a $100 deposit, and if your game was legitimate, you got it back. But if your game was illegitimate, Valve kept that $100, and I think that would have solved the riffraff problem of people posting games they didn't own, and because then you'd be out $100 for saying, posting something that wasn't yours,
Yep.
But I mean, do you have any opinions on Greenlight?
I mean, it seems fine so far. I mean, it's just it doesn't seem like what I mean. I knew it was going to be like this, but it's basically just trying. It's getting more games to the top of like their Steam's actual like list of games that they'll actually bring to Steam. Like it's just they see what people are interested in, and if they want to bring those games out, they will they'll bring them out sooner than other games.
And Valve still says they're going to be curating, but I want to talk about the 10 games that made it through.
The first 10
Black Mesa, and these are mods actually. Some of these are mods that'll just be free. So I don't really care if Steam adds support for, Black Mesa. Some of these are mods actually. Some of these are mods that'll just be free. So I don't really care if Steam adds support for, Black Mesa. So I don't really care if Steam adds support for, Black Mesa. So I don't really care if Steam adds support for, Black Mesa. allows you to like download mods within the service as long as they're good mods. I think that's actually pretty sweet if you get sort of a thing set up whereby the good mods are available on Steam. You don't have to go hunt them down online. That'd be kind of neat, and it would save a lot of time and headaches. But Black Mesa, which is a Half-Life 1 Steam source development kit mod, which it's just basically Half-Life 1 remade in Source Engine. Cry of Fear, Dream, Heroes and Generals, which is a free-to-play title. Kenshi, McPixel, No More Room in Hell.
McPixel's a good game. They just had a...
Yeah, they had that Pirate Bay thing.
Yeah, I got that.
Routine and then Towns. So those are the first 10 games.
Yes. Routine is the one game I'm really looking forward to. I thought the trailer they showed off looked really interesting. It's like a horror game based in space, and I think that looks really cool.
It looks a lot like Enemy Zero on Sega Saturn, where the enemies are invisible and you're in space. It's really a lot like Enemy Zero. But Black Mesa, out of those, I only voted for Routine and Black Mesa. But the one title that kind of demonstrated my main concern with this was Kenshi. It looks really unfinished. It looks kind of like crap. It looks overly ambitious. It's a big old Western 3D RPG that's an indie game. And I think it looks like trash. I think it just looks overly ambitious. And I'm hoping that it actually doesn't make it onto the store, but it passed through Greenlight, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Valve still curates off the top. Just because something passes Greenlight doesn't mean that they have to let it into the store. What they're trying to do is just take the community into consideration when they decide on things. But I don't get I don't get like why PC gamers are all hot on Kenshi, because it just looks terrible. I'm not sure if you've seen it, Naveed. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
No,
look
actually,
terrible.
I have not looked at it.
The next piece of news is sort of just minor. I think the death of Valve time, and this is just kind of a joke, but death of Valve time because Greenlight and Big Picture mode made it out on schedule, which is pretty much like the first time Valve's ever done that. And then good news versus bad news contrasted against the rest of the industry. Now, this is the main focal point I wanted to talk about tonight. We have this other piece of news from last year that, for example, Steam Workshop, Team Fortress 2 alone has made $2 million for just item makers. And they expanded Steam Workshop since then, and it's become quite big. So they've probably made even more. But basically, one thing I've noticed is my view of the general trajectory of the industry has been negative, and I'm not sure if Naveed would agree with that or not.
Yeah, the way the industry is heading, the direction it's heading is not even my interest.
Right, and so, but I'm even talking about like the health of the market. I'm talking about just news in general. The way that we've compiled news, we don't, I'm a PC gamer. I'm almost exclusively a PC gamer, but that's not how I compile news. I'm not just checking, rock, paper, shotgun. Naveed will vouch for this. I'm checking NeoGAF. I'm checking Siliconera. I'm checking Joystick. I'm compiling console news when I see it.
And I am a console and PC gamer.
Yeah, and he's a primarily console and handheld.
And I've been looking for news, and I like the only stuff that is. We occasionally find Sony stuff that is important, and then. Nintendo stuff because they're coming out with a new console.
Right.
But
and what I want to talk to you about really quickly here is the one thing. There's a couple things you and I have noticed that you and I have spoken about. First of all, Sony's usually quiet unless a gaming show is going on as a first party. Yep. Whenever news comes out that isn't around a show, it's negative usually because it's related to their finances. Mm-hmm. Microsoft news, whenever it comes out, is almost always negative. I don't think there's ever been a piece of positive Microsoft news since we started doing this show.
It's not like we're trying to do that.
No, it's not we're trying to do it either.
It's like I don't have any beef against Microsoft.
I use Bing. I've been using Bing for like over a year, and it's not because of the rewards program. I'm a Windows 7 faithful. I don't like Microsoft's gaming division, but it's largely because of the negative news that comes out of their division.
Yeah,
it's not like we're trying to paint it a certain way. It's just that, and the other thing is, most of the time you just don't have news about Microsoft at all.
They don't have any games coming out. Like the only games they have coming out are on XBLA.
And we didn't. Sometimes. Yeah, and sometimes we don't even sometimes we don't even add the news to the cast because it's negative and we don't want to be portrayed as fanboys.
Yeah.
So, like what was that one game that Twisted Pixel just announced for Xbox Live Arcade? They showed it off. It's been announced before. It was like
Loco Cycle.
Yeah, Loco Cycle, and it looks like a PS2 game. Like it honestly looks like a PS2
I
Wii
honestly
game.
think it looks awful. Yeah, like they.
It looks.
You know what the funny thing is? When they showed that off at E3, they showed this like this really slick like CG. It was basically a teaser, but it basically slowly panned up to this really slick, basically the motorcycle. And it's like it looked like a futuristic racer type game, and then they come out with this trailer that looks just awful. I mean, it just did not look good.
And so, we didn't even report on that game because it just looked terrible. It looked like, and we didn't want to rag on it.
We reported on it when it was first announced, and I mean, like it was exclusive that they had.
But we didn't
Xbox
report on
Live
like the trailer or anything like that. Like we decided, you and I discussed it, and we decided not to because it just like there was nothing positive we could say about the game. There was literally nothing positive I could think after watching the first gameplay trailer.
Well, you are racing as a motorcycle with a guy who is only attached by their foot. That's pretty crazy, and
it's wacky, but it looks terrible. Like the gameplay looks clunky and. It just doesn't look like a good game.
Yeah.
But then the other piece of news, we've come to just these conclusions. Like, it's like we said earlier in the podcast, we're not ever getting any good news out of Activision. But the thing that we've never really come to the conclusion on, at least I've never discussed it with Naveed, is the one thing I've noticed since we started doing the podcast is there's never really been a negative piece of news from Valve. The most negative thing I can think of is when they changed their end user license agreement to bar class action lawsuits, which every single online service in the industry already had, and doesn't hold up in court anyways.
Yeah.
So, it's like every single time. It's just nuts to me. Like this podcast at one point was 60% Valve, and it wasn't. Yet again, I wasn't trying to do that. It was that all like Valve, for how small of a company they are, they generate so much news. It's not even funny, and it's just like all of the news coming out of them is pretty much positive, and it's really the only portion of the industry that I can think of where that's happening.
And I think we'll start seeing that change, obviously, once the new consoles start coming out. I mean,
this is where I disagree with Naveed. Is I think the console industry is in a slow crash, and I point to
I don't think at all. So,
dude, the mass number of closed studios alone vouch for me on this.
Yeah, but that's not. I don't think that's based on how popular the consoles are. I think that's just based on how much
video game industry
more video games cost to make these days.
Video game industry, but that's part of a crash. If development costs are going up and studios are closing, that's part of a crash. If the market can't support it, then and these studios are going to close. It's telling for me that Vivendi wants to get out of the video game industry too. They've got the most profitable, largest third party in the entire industry. They want out.
I can't see a crash at all incoming.
It's not going to be. It's a slow crash. It's a slow burn. It's not going to be overnight. But you're going to. We've had more studio closures this generation than ever before, and and that's counting successful studios. Bizarre Creations, Liverpool. These are big studios, and they're just getting shut down left and right. All of them.
Well, we'll see what happens. But I'm saying, I there's going to be like what I was saying as far as that goes. Like you were talking about the news. Like we haven't had a whole. I don't think there will be like a lot of negative news when those systems really come out. But there's probably going to be more later, obviously. But there's going to be more news later on for different systems because it is the end of a console generation, so there's obviously not as much new stuff that is coming out. So there's not much news to report on. So,
dude, even with the Wii U, how many new games did we have to report? We had Bayonetta 2, and that's really it. I mean, in terms of new games to report on for Wii U, and that's right around the corner. And 3DS hasn't exactly sparked up the console industry. I mean, it's it's keeping pace with DS so far, and it's really not on the third-party market. I mean, it's just like I said with Konami, they're going to show up at TGS, and they've got over 10 iOS games, and Sega has, I think, over 8 iOS games, and Nintendo is, I mean, like that's what I mean, we kind of, Naveed and I discussed this a little bit, and this isn't really part of the cast, but this has never happened on a Nintendo handheld before where they've had to push it so hard with first-party stuff. It's always been they come out with first-party stuff, third parties come in, and they can back off a little bit and let third parties take over the release schedule. And that hasn't happened. It's happened in Japan a little bit, but it's not happening anywhere else in the world. And, I mean, you've got these massive, you've got Konami, you've got Sega. These are companies that used to be relatively relevant on DS, and not really, they've not really showing up on 3DS in the same way. Even Square Enix isn't really showing up on 3DS in the same way.
I mean, it's still early, but I just think like there's huge franchises still coming to the 3DS, at least in Japan. I agree with you in Europe and the European market and the North American market. That is definitely not like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even because like I mean the other thing is Iwata basically already said. He said that it's not doing as well as they would like, and
yeah, and
you had the day that you had the week that 3DS XL came out and New Super Mario Bros. 2 on 3DS in the United Kingdom, the system pushed under 10,000 units, and it's been averaging 5,000 units a week there, which is really low. I mean, that's disastrous. I mean, and the UK is having the past year is the worst year of software sales they've had on record, and they've been recording software sales for over 20 years. So I mean, the only really positive area is PC, and it's largely because of Valve, not exclusively, but I mean, it seems to me that's the only place where you're really getting
the negative news. The negative news comes from all these other places like Origin and Uplay and stuff like that you see like
aren't gonna last, frankly, I don't think.
Yeah, and then like other stuff like OnLive that shuts down and stuff like that. Valve does they really are a great company. They know how to.
Well, I joked today with Naveed. I said they're the best first-party company. They're not really a first-party. I mean, I guess in regards to the platform, they are.
Well, they don't really have first-party games because they release most of their stuff multi-platform, other than like.
Well, they don't have any first-party exclusives, but yeah.
Yeah, but.
Well, actually, I would disagree with that. I think that basically Portal 2 and Team Fortress 2 at this point are like, I mean, particularly Team Fortress 2. It's such a different game now that I would say it's exclusive.
I wouldn't say Portal 2. I mean, they have the extra, user-generated content, but I'd easily count that as a multi-platform game.
It's not just that though. I mean, it's got user-generated content both for co-op campaigns and single-player campaigns now. So I mean, it's got a lot of good content. Like there's user-made levels that are better than the stock levels. Like the 7 Angry Tests are freaking incredible.
Yeah, but, I mean, like you say with like other stuff like Microsoft stuff, you can't really say that is an exclusive.
No, I'm not, and I wouldn't say it's exclusive, but I would say that the fan-made expansions carry some weight, and those are definitely exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a better experience on PC, no doubt about it.
I would say
most games.
I do maintain that Team Fortress 2 at this point is such a different game than the one that was launched on consoles that it is an exclusive, though. It is worlds apart from the console version. It's had so many updates that never came to the console versions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, TF2 has had, like 10 or 12 giant updates that never.
It's like TF 2.5 compared to like what is on
it really,
consoles.
I mean, I don't even think consoles really have like all the special weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, so it's the game dynamics have completely changed, and there's a bunch of new maps. There's the man versus machine. I mean, how many custom weapons? There's like over 100 or 200 custom weapons in TF2 now that aren't on consoles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And I think what Valve is like, what they're doing with Steam is like pushing the industry forward as far as like, pricing and stuff, like games are not going to be able to sell well at $60. I don't think coming unless you're like a huge franchise like Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed or something like that.
And the one thing that PC's always had the variable pricing, but I think Steam has kind of brought it to a new level.
Yeah, I mean and data has shown like these Steam sales, they don't, even though the games are selling for much less, it's actually really good for the companies that take part in them.
This podcast, we had Amnesia. This is a 2-year-old game. It's sold in the Humble Bundle. It's been on multiple Steam sales. It's been available for like $1 through the Humble Bundle. It's been available for like $2.50 through Steam. And this is a game that's 2 years old, and it's still getting 10,000 full price sales a month.
And that is one of the best things that I like about what Steam is doing and what generally on PC, like that's one of the biggest advantages.
The success of variable price.
Yes, it's something that really can't happen on.
It can't happen anywhere else. I don't think
at retail, because retailers want to get that cut, and
And I'm not sure it could even happen on consoles entirely. I'm not sure if it would, because what we've seen on iOS, because like the thing about PC is it's mainly a hardcore audience. To be able to participate in PC gaming, you kind of have to be a little more informed than you do on consoles, and that's not a knock against console gamers. I'm just saying that to be able to have like a decent PC gaming rig, you pretty much have to build it, which requires a certain level of involvement above what just going to the store and buying a console requires.
You could buy like $1,000 Alienware and be like, oh, I got a good gaming PC, but it won't be.
Nobody's doing that though.
I'm sure there are some people that are doing that.
Alienware does not sell well. Pretty much, that's why they've had to refocus on laptops. Their desktops don't sell.
Well, I'm just saying that was as an example. I'm sure there's people that go out there and just buy some type of high-end PC. Like not everyone builds their own PC who plays.
Not
PC
everyone,
games.
but I think the vast majority. I think really the vast majority of people do build their own PCs nowadays for PC gamers. I mean, Newegg is just. I mean, you don't get that large just because people. I mean, Newegg's become so popular for a reason. It's because PC gaming has really expanded. I mean, PC gaming has brought a lot of new people into the fold. It's just like that 19 million increase from a year ago on Steam, and me. And you, it's like I would never have been a PC gamer really 10 years ago. I mean, I had a PC gaming system, but it was like I didn't really use it, and now I do. So, and that's largely because of Steam. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to talk about how it seems to me that most of the good news is coming out of Steam. It seems to me that the general trajectory of the industry, like the only place that's particularly healthy is PC gaming. That could be fanboyism. I don't know. I really don't think it is. I think that the fact that we're starting to see more and more Japanese developers come to PC, and you're starting to see a lot of games that come out on consoles perform better on PC, I really don't think it's the case that PC is an unhealthy portion of the market. I actually think that it's one of the healthier portions of the market, if there are even any other healthy portions.
I still think that you're right. The PC is like the healthiest portion of the market right now, but I still think that part of that is due to how long this console generation has gone for. I'm still behind that. I think it has gone on for way too long. I feel like people lost interest in current consoles. I mean, people always want new things. We see that with stuff like iPads and stuff.
But the thing is that when you get a larger install base, typically sales increase. They don't decrease. That
depends. When people buy a console, I mean, they might buy it for a couple games and then they don't touch it ever again. So I mean,
Xbox 360 had its best year in 2011.
That could be debatable why. It's probably mostly due to Kinect and the casual audience that has moved there.
Well, I'm just saying you don't have your best year 6 years after you launch and then have your software sales on the trash. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, once again, if those people who bought the console were the people that bought a Kinect and Dance Central or something like that. They're not going to be buying like a whole bunch of games for the system, like how on Wii a lot of people just bought it basically for Wii Sports, Wii Fit, and they didn't really buy another game.
But then how do you
After
explain this? Then how do you explain the studio closures?
That is a part of the increasing game prices, I think. I think developers really need to.
But I mean, that would still be a crash if game development costs got to the point where they could not develop games and then profit off of them and then went out of business. That would still be a crash.
They need to be smarter. I think game developers need to be smarter with how they budget their games. They need to start, trying to get lower budget titles, develop lower budget titles that still, appeal to a wide audience. You don't have to have a freaking giant blockbuster game.
What would have to happen for you to consider the current gaming market crashed?
I would have to see consoles totally fall off the map as far as sales go. Like I mentioned before, I was talking to you about this. Console sales have increased every generation since the NES. I would have to see consoles really dip. I mean, I personally, actually, I'm not sure. I don't think consoles will increase in sales next generation, but I'd have to see it drop way below the current.
I have to disagree with that because I think the 720 is going to be huge because it's going to be it's going to be focused on Apple TV multimedia stuff. I think it's going to be massive, and it's technically going to be counted as a console, though it shouldn't be.
We'll see what happens, but I really don't think there will be any sort of crash until the consoles themselves start to fail.
I'm not saying that the consoles are going to only sell 1 million units. I'm not saying this is going to be a repeat of 1983, but what I am saying is that there's a definite crash in the software market. And you don't have the studio closures we have now without a crash. I mean, think about this. THQ is pretty much dead. There's no way they will survive within the next 2 years of the beginning of the next generation. There just isn't. I think the only way they could survive is if they went PC exclusive because they have some huge franchises on PC, and that's really about it. And I don't think that they would have to get rid of Volition, or they would have to shrink them. They would have to get rid of Vigil, because Vigil has really no big PC franchises. Volition has some big PC franchises, and they've got Relic, which has some big PC.
How would going PC exclusive help them?
If they shrunk, then they could survive on their RTS franchises, which are very popular on PC. That's why that's pretty much. I mean, there are.
I thought you meant something like they make Darksiders, just have that come to PC.
No, I'm saying Vigil they would have to get rid of because Vigil has nothing on PC, but Volition has a PC history. They have Free Space, they have Descent, and then Relic has made some of the most critically. I mean, Company of Heroes is the second most critically acclaimed RTS of all time, and the sequel was one of the most amped up, hyped up games on the PC market right now. Mm-hmm. So it's very possible for THQ to shrink and become a PC exclusive publisher if they manage themselves well. I mean, there's multiple publishers and developers of RTS franchises on PC that survived a very long time before selling out to larger publishers, and I think it's still possible. But they would have to shrink drastically, and I don't think they would be able to survive on consoles. They've already had to back out of the handheld market and the mobile market.
Mm-hmm. I still think there are large demands for games on consoles. I mean, you obviously see.
I think there's demand. I don't think that a new generation is going to revive it the way you think it is.
I do partly. I don't think it'll be like.
I think it's going to get
worse than
it is now.
I completely don't. I think the new consoles will actually help a lot as far as software sales go. I mean, but when you look at something like we discussed Max Payne 3 before, when you see something like that, a game like that sells over 3 million, and you see that that's lower than anticipated, and it's not a success to them. I mean, that's just I don't know what to think of at that point.
It went into bomber pricing. I mean, it was, yeah. And that was shipped, by the way. That was shipped.
That's from July, though, or beginning of August.
When did it come out? It came out, so it came out.
That number was reported at the beginning of August.
I'm looking at it right now, okay? So it came out in May. and then a month later, it had sold 440,000 units, and you've got Darksiders 2 selling 250,000 units, and you've got completely Sleeping Dogs didn't do that well in its debut week. The only game that's done well recently is Madden.
Darksiders 2 was, granted, it's not well. The sales aren't like giant for that game, but that was like the only recorded sales of that was like 5 days because NPD they cut off the date like on the 25th.
What, Sleeping Dogs or Darksiders?
Didn't those come out like the same?
Yeah, they did.
They come out on the same week or the same day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same week.
Yeah, but
here's what's alarming.
NPD cut off all sales for that month on the 25th of August. So
the freaking Darksiders 2 was the best performing game on NPD, and it sold 250,000.
Yeah, but that's what other games are out right now. I mean, like
it was the best performing game at 250,000, dude.
Yeah, I mean that's not good, but it's not like there's a whole lot of other stuff out right now. The install base
for the platforms that it was out on, in terms of the retail that NPD counts, is over 100 million.
Yeah,
I mean, not in the United States, but worldwide. I think in the United States, the install base is around 50 million for those platforms, and it sold 250K
in like a week.
And it was the best performing game in that week.
Yeah, well,
dude, Mass Effect 3 sold under 500,000 units. That's a huge franchise.
In what? In the first month?
I think the first week. That's a huge franchise.
But it's sold. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I still don't. I don't see that happening anytime soon. But yeah, that's just my opinion. It's totally
during the first
reasonable.
month, it sold 1.5 million. So it did okay during the first month, but it still underperformed. Oh, and then there was like Zelda Skyward. I mean, Zelda. That's UK though. UK is having such a terrible year. I just don't think it's going to get any better. I think here's what I think. I think you will see when next gen consoles launch. I think you will see games on the Wii. I think Wii U might actually do okay. I think Bayonetta 2 is going to perform worse on Wii U than it did on PS3 and 360. But we'll see. I also think that. But, yeah.
As far as console exclusive, I don't know if it will sell more than that, but I feel like it might sell actually pretty well with all the damn. Even though there's like a huge negative reaction to this, I think that's actually sparked some.
The Nintendo audience really isn't into games like Bayonetta, though. I mean, they don't really buy them, historically speaking.
Yeah, I know. That's true. We'll see what happens.
I don't think.
I hope it does sell.
I don't think it's going to sell 1.4 mil, though. I really don't.
I think it'll be around the 400, 500, maybe 1,000 range. Actually, that might. No, it'll definitely sell in Japan. So it'll get some sales there, and it'll sell here a bit. I think it'll sell a decent amount. I mean, the first Bayonetta only sold like 350,000, less than 350,000 in the U.S. On both PS3 and 360. So
we also don't have a final sales figure. Like the sales figures, the 1.4 million figure is from like 2 months after it launched in the United States.
I mean, we know that it only sold like less than 350,000 in the U.S. according to the most recent stuff. Like according to some people on the.
I'm sure it eventually trickled past like 1.6 or 1.7 million. I doubt it passed 2 million.
Maybe.
But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch, but I don't think that Wii U is going to be like the spark the industry needs, and I think the 720 is going to be so focused on multimedia content that it's actually going to hurt the games industry more than help it. And then I don't know what the hell's going to happen with the PS4 because Sony's a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that.
Well, yeah.
I think that's episode 10.
Good discussion. We actually had some comments on our YouTube discussion. We didn't notice them. Sorry about that. They actually updated like an hour and a half in to the show for me. So I'll actually just read a couple of them out. Troopman4 asked, like, how's it going? Yeah, we were doing fine when you asked that. Sorry, it was way too late. Chatastic obviously had some comments. He was a big commenter last week. He said Spencer looks like a grunt from Amnesia.
No idea what that is, but I assume it's masculine and it's complimentary.
And Chatastic also said the best Wii game equals Wii Music. So, there you heard it here first. Best Wii game, #1, Wii Music. And thanks to also Puffleperson. Obviously, you were watching, you commented. And I don't know who this is. GVFC. Actually, I think he's one of my subscribers, but he says Spencer loves Nintendo. What? Alright, okay.
What? I just said that their console, that Bayonetta 2, was going to perform poorly.
I love Nintendo. That's Naveed.
I used to love Nintendo.
Spencer likes Nintendo only now. Just he's not like a huge fan of them. So, but yeah. Thanks for everyone who commented. Sorry we didn't get to you guys earlier, and thanks for everyone else who listened. Hopefully we'll get to another 10 shows.
I am technically a superior Nintendo fan to you because I did beat Mother 3. But anyways, okay, end of the show.
I'm still holding out for a localization.
That's never going to happen.
I know.
Anyways, all right, that's it for us, folks.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.